Welcome, everybody, to the Freedom to Speakeasy podcast, where there is no prohibition on the First Amendment, at least not here. Anthony D'Amarin, Mark Rizzoli, and Governor Murphy.
Yeah, I mean,
Finally, day late, dollar short. But he had some comments to say.
yeah, his response to the Adriana Kush suicide slash assault really was basically what he said was it feels like a culture of bullying
Yep.
in Central, down in Central. But here's the thing: Phil Murphy has been bullying school districts since COVID. I mean, he bullied them with his COVID mandates, whether it's the masks, the extended lockdowns. Then it went into the bullying with the sex curriculum. Any school district that didn't want to implement it, he bullied them into it with threats of lawsuits and takeovers and cutting back
Well,
on funding. I think here's the problem. When these schools reopened after the extended lockdown, Phil Murphy, the NJEA, the school administrators were so concerned about pushing Phil Murphy's radical curriculum agenda,
hmm
they failed to forget that to addressing these kids' needs as far as psychological issues, the
Right.
fact that maybe they lost the ability to interact with one another,
They have. They
and,
clear.
and that wasn't addressed.
Right. Well, look, he has rammed down the throats of many. We have a state board of education, board of an unelected board that really has an immense amount of power. And we'll get into some groups afterwards, but that's the other problem is that he forces this on parents, all right, and districts. Even if you're a district that doesn't necessarily want to deal with this stuff, they're holding the threat of holding funding. I know, hey, everybody says, hey, that's not going to happen, but the fact that he actually puts that out there is sad. It's all you need to know where his mindset is, Mark.
Well, clearly he was working in concert with the NJEA
Yes,
to
he was.
intimidate concerned parents. I mean, when they start putting videos out calling concerned parents extremists, when you have school district employees basically slandering on social media, whether it's board members or concerned parents. I mean, they immediately go into this cancel culture. It was a plan that was immediately executed
Right.
upon
Right.
parents flooding school board meetings.
I think they would listen. They would have kept the schools. They would have kept the schools in lockdown probably if there wasn't the pushback that was coming, and we were part of a movement ourselves. But I think what goes on here is that there's clearly these students. I see it in my own household. All right, there's these students, the younger grades. All right, have, especially if you're in first, second, third grade, the lack of interpersonal communication between one another and how they deal with. If you go to a schoolyard, and when I pick up little Nate at school, sometimes if it's a nice day they're in a schoolyard, you got to see the way the kids interact.
Right.
Mark, they don't know how to really interact and play. They really don't. There's a lot of social awkwardness, if you would.
Well, then you factor in the everything else that's going on within the schools. Boys dressing up as girls, going
Yep.
into the girls' bathroom, going into the girls' locker room. Kids don't know what they can or can't say. They're not allowed to comment about particular curriculums, whether it's CRT, this radical sex curriculum. So kids are basically, let's face it, they're confused,
Yep.
and now they're acting out. And Phil Murphy, the NJEA, and these school administrators have turned these schools throughout New Jersey into fight clubs because you're seeing videos on social
Right.
media. These orchestrated fights, right?
Right.
Clearly planned out to attack an individual child while the others are filming,
Right.
then posting to TikTok and other social media outlets, and it's not being addressed from within, like we just saw with the suicide of Adriana
Yes.
Kush down in Central. And they're trying to keep everything in house. When a crime occurs, they don't notify law enforcement immediately, like we've
Mhm.
seen. They don't call for medical attention. Why? Because if you call for an EMS, they will
Yeah.
notify
Yeah.
law
Yep.
enforcement if law
Absolutely.
enforcement hasn't been notified.
They have. I say it again.
So it's a complete failure, right? But it's a coordinated. It's all coordinated through the
Right.
governor's office, NJEA. But they have totally failed the children coming, post a COVID lockdown.
They really have, and the protocols. This should be a simple protocol. Like this happens. There was an assault, as you said the last time. This was an assault. That's what it was. That law enforcement's not coming in here, all right, and taking charge over the investigation. They're going to leave it to these teachers, okay, these educators who didn't call themselves. So any adult, in my opinion, that came across these children, all right, and didn't call law enforcement, should be brought in for under oath and for further questioning. I question all of their judgment, all of their
Well,
judgment. So if you're a parent down in Lacey, you question whether or not you really want to trust this school district with your child.
well, right now the public schools, not just in New Jersey, nationwide,
Right.
have a problem with violence. They're all because of politics.
The rhetoric, yeah,
Listen,
the
they're
rhetoric,
turning into fight clubs. Here in New Jersey, when you have a governor that basically protects criminals
right?
and doesn't lean towards law-abiding citizens, that sends a message out there. And then when you have curriculum that's going into the system that has nothing to do with the real education, right? The kids are behind in math, reading, science,
Mhm.
not being addressed. Then you have, like you mentioned, this New Jersey State Board, who Murphy's basically looking to oust three
Right.
people, and one of his nominees are so radical,
It's
she's not even getting through committee.
no, and you know she's radical because the NJEA, okay, and Spiller, who's the president of the NJEA, mayor of Montclair as well, that's who he is. All right, that's his day job. He wants to force this. They wants to rush this through. I say it all the time. Anything the NJEA is for, especially when it comes to candidates on the state school board, I will be against. All right, there's a reason why he wants this. The same reason
Well,
why
it's not even just also the NAACP is supporting Mary Bennett,
right, Mary
a
Bennett.
radical,
Yes.
who's up for the state board.
Um,
Listen, Sean Spiller, the NJEA are just they're disgusting what they're doing. I mean, the fact that they have conferences and it's all about politics, right?
Oh, yeah.
You bring in the LGBTQT, the Garden State Equality people, the drag queens. Someone has to clarify. What is the educational value for children being lectured by drag queens? I really, no one has justified it yet.
What is it? What are drag queens doing at a teachers' convention?
Right.
What is the purpose
Well,
of
they all need to be asked. Why do you need to have an audience with young children?
They're sick. They're sick, and that's what it comes down to. It comes down. Anybody that's pushing this stuff, anybody that wants to teach sex in these early grades, you got to screw loose. You got something wrong.
Listen, the NJEA is just engaged in grooming.
That's really what it is.
It's indoctrination, not education. That's what they're involved in. And Phil Murphy is the number one bully in New Jersey because the moment anyone pushes back,
right,
they come with this coordinated attack through social media, through any means possible.
Right.
Because let's face it, we're not just us. There's very few shows like this that are out who are basically out there talking about.
I listen.
I don't know what media outlet in New Jersey that exposes this.
I was saying this to somebody. I hate to be the bearer of bad news sometimes, but somebody needs to talk real to you guys. And as far as the schools are concerned with Murphy, if they want this radical curriculum, the sex curriculum in these early grades, then there should be a force on the other side pushing for school choice, giving the parents more options. We talk about it all the time, you and I. And to give them whether it's a voucher system of some sort, but to give the parents another option to protect their child.
Well, right now the problem is it's school districts throughout New Jersey. The number one priority is a politically correct environment,
right?
Not a safe environment to be educated. That's why there needs to be school choice now. They're not even providing the basics of having your child go into a safe environment to learn. So how could he or she actually concentrate on academically,
right?
When you have to worry about being assaulted, bullied, you got to worry about some boy dressed up as a girl. And I'm sorry, there is no law that allows that. It's policy.
Right.
They keep lying to parents. It's going on in my school district in my town that it's the law. No, it's not. Policy is not the law.
No.
Sorry, if a boy wants to dress up as a girl, he or she, he needs to be taken for a psychological exam.
Right.
The same goes as dressing up as, cats or whatnot throughout school and asking for litter boxes. Why? How do they have more rights than other children? Why should they be interrupted in class with this freakish behavior? And when did parents sign that waiver giving away their daughter's rights?
Well, they didn't sign the waiver, and I'll tell you,
it doesn't exist.
It was taken from them. It was taken from all parents. Where if your child goes in there and claims to be he's a boy and wants to be a girl, the school does not have to notify you. So you're not notified on what's going on in your child's, mental state there. And a lot of this is manufactured. A lot of this is just taboo for the times. And you know what it does also? It waters down those that are really struggling with something inside of them. It really does. It waters it down.
Well, Well, now you really have to ask the legitimacy of grading, the grading system.
Yes.
Now, are kids just being pushed
They
through,
they
just to pad their numbers?
yes.
School districts with are enrollments declining,
Well,
are numbers being fudged? I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be asked now and looked into. I'll give you a perfect example. The Old Bridge School Board just
yeah.
recently had their budget meeting. It was a closed session.
Oh my.
So you 154 million plus taxpayer dollars being spent, and you have a closed session for your
Unbelievable.
budget? Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable.
Dave Sedadino, what do you have to hide? Are there schools that shouldn't be open that you're just keeping open to appease the union? What are you hiding from the residents of Old Bridge, Dave?
It's that is insane. Residents should be absolutely outraged. Every senior citizen there should be outraged. Honestly, they should be outraged.
Every year, the Board of Ed raises taxes. For what?
Yes.
And how can you ask questions in the budget meetings in closed session?
You can't. That is a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. And as far as go back to your other point, to circle back, as far as pushing the students through, I am telling you right now, I hear from parents all the time, that they're basically, we held a podcast once with all these different students, and the students from all different levels. And all of them said, especially those that are struggling, is they shouldn't be in the grade that they're in. All right. This is pre-COVID. I can only imagine where it's post-COVID. You never see a child fail. They get home, they get grades now. It's based on this new system of grading. There is no A, B, C, D, F. You know what I mean? It's just everybody passes. Everybody's going through. You don't think the student knows that? He or she's not going to take advantage of that? So,
well, listen, that's why you see what's going on.
In the schools
with the fights and everything. They know
they're running circles around administration.
Of course.
They're running the asylum, the students. There's no discipline. There's very, very little discipline. And back to the Old Bridge. My God, passing budgets, $150-something million.
Closed session.
Wow.
Going through the budget. Closed session.
You can't make this up.
I'm sure it's not only Old Bridge. I'm sure other school districts are doing the same.
Listen,
right now, school districts, the NJEA, feel that they don't have to answer to anyone.
Right.
They're now this protected group in society where they're above the law. They can do anything they want.
Right.
And no one's allowed to ask questions. And when you do ask a question, they immediately go into that cancel culture mode.
You know what's funny? All the educators and teachers that are teachers that also have children themselves, I wonder what they think. And it's funny. I think some of them, and I know for a fact that some of them that are in these districts have now pulled their children out of the district and either went into private school or some other means. They don't want to talk to their kids.
I said it once before. I mean, don't run away from if you're able to run away from the public school system, because it's turned into a joke. And I wonder if teachers out there, are you happy that your union dues are financing your president's Sean Spiller's evil politics? I mean, you really need to ask yourself that.
Right.
At what point do you all flood a meeting and put a stop to this?
Absolutely. You have the powers within the teacher itself.
Power in numbers.
There's a difference between, people say, why are you guys hard on teachers? We're not hard on teachers. We're hard on, first of all, their union, but the union is only as powerful as their members make them.
Well, the leadership of the NJEA is so detached from the membership.
Without question.
The membership is kept in the dark, which they don't have to be. They're allowed to ask questions, but they're afraid of the retaliation from within.
Yes. So you have teachers, a lot of educators that think, what's going on? They're paying more into their health care. So if you're paying more into your health care, ask a question. The dues that you're paying, ask Spiller, what are you doing with the money, Spiller?
Well, they're paying more into the health care because Phil Murphy failed them.
Right.
He doesn't.
Spiller though, Mark, Spiller supports Murphy.
Of course.
So there you go. So a lot of your money is going towards these candidates that are actually causing your own demise. It's self-destruction.
Well, and that they're not taking a vote on. They're endorsing candidates without speaking to the membership. They're taking it upon themselves, the NJEA leadership.
Right, absolutely.
And unfortunately, a lot of other unions are doing the same thing. It's unfortunate. I hope members start standing up because, listen, you're a resident of this state. You really should start pushing back.
Absolutely.
Don't be financing evil politics.
And if you don't have a child, it doesn't matter. You're paying taxes. Most of your taxes go to the Board of Education. You should have you have a say in the matter. So
I mean, parents out there, teachers, are you okay with the fact that Garden State Equality is involved with writing curriculum?
Go Google Garden State Equality. Go Google it. Seriously.
I mean, we have the curriculum written by Garden State Equality.
It's amazing. Why do they have any say in the matter?
Right.
Any say in the matter? It's such a joke. Disgrace.
Well, Phil Murphy's just a scumbag. Let's face it. I mean, only someone evil would target children, and that's
Yeah.
what he's doing right now. He's not helping children. He's targeting them.
Well, we're going to have a lot more to say about this,
Yeah.
what's going on with education here, because it's not, again, there are people that don't have the best interest of your child, okay, that are running this show. And it's not, it's about control over the individual, really, at the end of the day, indoctrinating, getting to them, I hate to say it, getting to them early. And it's almost like, in a way, predators, in a way.
Well, listen, that's why we need cameras in the classroom.
Cameras in the classroom,
Put 'em
absolutely.
Up. Is there a legislature out there that has the balls to sponsor such a bill?
Let's at least start that conversation.
Let's take a couple seat of wisdom to get some coverage.
So, all right. Well, Mark, listen. Before we end each segment here, we do what we call last call, and we talk up to 1 minute about any topic we like that either of us want to talk about. So, Mark, as usual, what say you, man?
Yeah, I'm going to make this real quick. Garden state equality. Leave our children alone. Take your politics and all your radical lunatic ideas and keep them to yourselves. I don't care what you do with your time, what your sexual preference are, but when you take your flag and stick it in my face, now we're going to speak about it. So keep things within your own business and leave everybody else's children alone. Let everybody else enjoy their lives and let children be children. Let them enjoy the school experience, because right now they're not.
Right. That's a great point. I'm actually going to piggyback off that a little bit. What I wanted to say was, for those parents, your child, the education always starts in the home. It really does. It starts and ends in the home. But get your child out there, whether it's a weekend, to the park, because you can't rely on if you're going to rely on the public education system, okay, to teach and educate your child. But not only that, to get the social aspects of it. Force your kid off the iPads, off the computers. They're on computers all day long at school. They're in front of a computer. I got to admit, excuse me, their eyesight. I wonder about eyesight going forward for them, a lot of them. So they're in front of these computers all day. The social aspect is so important. It really is. I highly suggest going out there, putting the kids in places where they could actually just be kids. Stop. And as Mark, and just kind of what Mark said, stop stealing their innocence. This is their innocence. They should believe in all. Let their minds just wander as kids. That's what we all did. All right, we all had that luxury to do that. Let's at least allow these kids to have the same luxury. So that's all I really got, Mark, for today.
Yeah, and don't forget, you got to vote. Vote by mail. Vote early. Avoid those machines, going down as usual, which seems to be the new tradition in New Jersey. So get out there, vote by mail, and vote early.
And and just as important, visit our freedomtospeakeasy.com, freedomtospeakeasy.com. Go to our website, check it out. It's pretty cool. And we have a lot more platforms coming out. Obviously, iHeartRadio, Spotify, the rest. So check out our Facebook, YouTube page. Go to our YouTube page. Subscribe on our YouTube page. We really appreciate it. We're going to have a lot of insight. We're going to have a lot of inside information that nobody else is going to give you and provide for you, like Mark and I will. Mark, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Take care, everybody.
1, 2, 3 to the groove, come and dance with me. Swing out, jive in. Come on, honey, show me how you move it. Swing out, jive in. 1, 2, 3 to the groove, come and dance with me. Swing out.